Welcome back to another video back on the channel. Today we're doing a little bit of a unique video today. We are going to make a championship table from 24th to 1st place. But what would be the championship table if it was ranked on your longest managerial tenure for your club? Basically, bottom place of the table is going to be the clubs that are continuously in a managerial merry-go-round, and first place is a club that have really stuck to their guns with its manager and has got a huge history with a certain manager of the club. Before we move on, I'm going to announce chapter 4 of Football Fairy Tales. The club is, drumroll, Reading Football Club. Now, as soon as this video comes up, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to pin a tweet which is going to list all the clubs that I'm wanting to do next in Football Fairy Tales, so you guys have an idea of what kind of clubs I'm picking and choosing each time. If you haven't done already, my Twitter is on the screen right here. Please follow it if you haven't done. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel, and if you haven't done already, please subscribe to this channel. We want to hit 150 subs as soon as we can. We've made some significant progress last week, which I'm deeply appreciative about. I think with the rate we're on, we could get to 150 subs in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, maybe when the season starts again, which is more news coming out from the Championship. The Premier League starting on the 17th of June and the Championship is resuming on the 20th of June. But that's not a foregone conclusion yet. We've got to make sure that the government guidelines are still met within this time. If there's any drastic changes, then the deadline is going to be pushed. But as it stands, Premier League will return on the 17th and Championship will return on the 20th. Man, it'll be good to get football back. Without any further ado, let's rank this table based longest managerial tenure that your club has had. 24th place, Wigan Athletic with Paul Jewell. Paul Jewell, surprisingly, is actually the longest manager that Wigan AFC have kept in a managerial role. He was a manager for Wigan between 2001 and 2007. He actually joined after not doing so well with Sheffield Wednesday. He spent 6 years with the club. Under his tenure, Wigan Athletic achieved great things. There was no wonder that they kept him for quite a significant amount of time. They won the Division 2 Championship in 2002-03 with a points total of 100, which is absolutely insane. That secured promotion to Division 1 and then promotion to the top of English football a couple of seasons later. And following 2 seasons in the Premier League, Wigan were close to being relegated. I mean, in their first season, they did really well. They were in the top 2 for quite a lot of the season, but then they eventually finished in 7th. They were so close to being relegated, but they managed to clutch a 2-1 away win against Sheffield United, which relegated them, but then saved them. Surprisingly enough, Paul Jewell resigned from that, so he was actually their longest manager with only 6 years in charge of the club. 23rd place, Reading, Joe Edelsten. Joe Edelsten was manager for Reading for 8 years and 1 month in charge. He didn't win too much, and actually most of these managers you're going to see in this list are going to be managers that were managing the club during World War, either World War I or World War II. They won the London War Cup in 1941, defeating Brentford 3-2 in the final at Stamford Bridge, but that was all they won under Joe Edelsten. He was sacked in 1947, and with 8 years and 1 month, it's not a very long tenure at all. 22nd, Swansea AFC, Hayden Green. Hayden Green was manager for 8 years and 4 months, so only 3 months difference between Joe Edelsten. He didn't really win anything with Swansea. They kept him for quite a few number of years because he got stability to the club, but he didn't really get them to achieve new heights. So I don't know, maybe they stuck with him for a bit too long. 21st, Queen's Park Rangers, Alex Stock. If you saw my Golden Eras tier list, you would know a little bit about Alex Stock. He was the era that I picked for Queen's Park Rangers for their Golden Era. He spent 9 years with the club, and as I previously mentioned, they were 3rd Division champions in 66-67 and actual Football League Cup winners in 66-67 as well. So they did a sort of domestic double there, but there wasn't a top domestic double as they were only 3rd Division champions. 20th, Hull AFC, Ernest Blackburn. He was manager for 10 years and 1 month. Once again, a bit similar to Hayden Green, only really got stability in, didn't really achieve anything new with the club. 19th, Luton Town, Dolly Duncan. He was manager for 11 years and 4 months. And what he managed to achieve? He managed to achieve one achievement. He managed to get the Football League 2nd Division runners-up in 54-55. That's all he did though. 18th, Huddersfield Town, Clem Stephenson. He He was manager for 13 years, 1 month. I was a bit surprised that Herbert Chapman wasn't actually their longest manager. Under his management, Huddersfield stayed throughout of his tenure in his first division. So he got stability, but I don't think they really got Huddersfield for striving for trophies. I think it was a wise decision to eventually let him go, whilst Huddersfield can push on from his stability. 17th place, Leeds United, Don Revie. I've said it enough already from the golden eras and Leeds' chapter in Football Fairy Tales, but Don Revie is the greatest ever manager that Leeds United have ever had. 13 years and 4 months he stayed with the club, and you don't even need me to repeat all the trophies and all the runners-up that he's won. If you want to know, you just need to see either my golden eras video or my Football Fairy Tales video. 16th place, Fulham Football Club, Phil Kelso. He was actually manager for longer for a club than Don Revie was with Leeds. He spent 15 years with Fulham Football Club, winning the London Challenge Cup, and that is pretty much it. The next couple of clubs, they are very, very tight between them, and sometimes I can't get enough intel to precisely measure the years and months. So if any years were exactly the same, I'm going to judge it on how much success they had with the club, and then putting the clubs with bigger success up higher in the table. But with Phil Kelso, as I said, they only won the London Challenge Cup. I felt they could have won a little bit more under his time. 15th, Millwall Football Club, Bob Hunter. He also spent 15 years with the club, this time with Millwall, and that is why I quickly explained about how I was going to judge clubs that actually had the same amount of years between them. But I think Bob Hunter achieved more. He won the 3rd Division South title with Millwall, and he managed to score 87 goals at home in the league, which still stands as an English record. For me, that is better than the London Challenge Cup. So I don't know if any of you would agree with me on that, but for me, I've just got to give Bob Hunter the edge over Phil Kelso for me. 14th place, Jimmy Methven. I can't say his name very, very well, which is why I'm going to include their names as a graphic. But he spent 15 years and 10 months with Derby County, and he actually achieved quite a fair bit. I thought Brian Clough achieved quite a bit, but actually he did achieve quite a bit as well. They were Division 2 champions in 1911-12 and also 1914-15, but the problem is they kept yo-yoing between the first 2 divisions under his management, and eventually, when he was sacked after Derby finished their lowest league position in history, 12th place in Division 2. So it goes at a sour end, but at least they got some highs out of his management. 13th place, Birmingham Football Club, Alf Jones. He spent 15 years and 11 months with the club, only 1 month more than Jimmy Methven did with Derby County. He won the 2nd Division Championship in 1982 and 1993, 2nd Division promotion 1993 and 94. He also did it 2 further times in the 20th century as well. 3 promotions, but with 3 relegations as well. And after his 3rd relegation, with the yo-yoing trend continuing, he resigned. Just like Jimmy Methven, they got some positivity out of his tenure, so I think he'll go with his head held high. 12th, Barnsley Football Club, Agnes Seed. Agnes Seed spent 1937 and 1953 with Barnsley, 16 years with the club, and he really could have spent more. It was unfortunate what happened with him. He spent his tenure winning the 3rd Division title in his first full season at Barnsley, so he immediately made an impact. He spent the tenure in the 2nd Division, but unfortunately he died at 60 due to chronic bronchitis. He would have stayed with Barnsley a bit longer if he hadn't died, so it's a shame for him. He could have been even higher at the table, but at least he was a very good influential manager. He will be a Barnsley legend for what I know. 11th place, Middlesbrough Football Club, Jack Robson. Jack Robson was actually Middlesbrough's first known manager, spending 1889 and 1905 with the club, 16 years. They didn't win any major honours, but they wore a few tiny trophies along the way. 3-time Northern League winners, 2 times Amateur Cup winners, and they got them promoted to Division 1. So not that bad. 10th, Bristol City Football Club, Bob Hewison. He spent 1932 to 1949 with Bristol City. 17 years he spent with the club. That's absolutely outstanding. They won the Welsh Cup in 1934, beating Tranmere Rovers in the final. But there was some dodgy sides as well, because in the same year they suffered a 9-0 defeat to Coventry City, which is quite amazing. Another achievement they managed to get under Bob Hewison is that they reached the 3rd Division South Cup final before losing to Reading 6-2 in aggregate. Didn't achieve too much, but at least he managed to get some sort of success with the club. 9th place, Stoke City, Football Club, Tony Waddington. He spent 1960 to 1977 with Stoke City, 17 years, which is absolutely amazing. Same as Bob Hewison, but I think he achieved a little bit more. 1 League Cup winner and 1 League Cup runner-up, 1 League Cup winner and 1 second division champion. He definitely achieved a lot more than Bob Hewison did with 17 years at the club. 8th place, Preston North End Football Club, E.H. Barr. He spent 17 years and 1 month with Preston, so 1 month of difference. These are the tiny margins I've got to work with. 1889 to 1906. And what he managed to achieve, he was the last manager for Preston to win a first division title. Of course, he wasn't the one that managed to achieve the double, but he managed to continue Preston's hot form for 1 more year. At least he got some certain amount of success. It was always going to be impossible trying to repeat the works of what William Suddell did. What he did was absolutely incredible. 17 years, 1 month is quite astounding. 7th place, Nottingham Forest, Billy Walker. Billy Walker spent 21 years and 1 month with Nottingham Forest, 1939 to 1960. Despite relegation in 1949 to the Football League 3rd Division, they got quickly promoted back 2 years later as champions, scoring a record of 110 goals in the 50-51 season. And to add along with that, they also beat Luton Town 2-1 in the 1959 FA Cup final. All of that was achieved with Billy Walker. It's not the same success as Brian Clough did. It would have been Brian Clough as the longest serving manager if we weren't counting managers that were managing the club during the war years. 6th place, Cardiff City Football Club, Fred Stewart. Fred Stewart spent 22 years with Cardiff City, 1911 to 1933. They were Southern Football League 2nd Division winners, 1st Division runners-up very soon, 2nd Division runners-up, 1 FA Cup, FA Charity Shield and 5 Welsh Cups. You may know about Fred Stewart. He was the one that I talked about in my golden era for Cardiff. Because it was such a long era, I had such high expectations. When I think back, with the 5 Welsh Cups included, I think he did deserve a little bit better in my tier list now that I think about it, because I think I put Cardiff City a meh, not even a good. Definitely think that they deserved a little bit more there. 5th place, Blackburn Rovers Football Club, Robert Middleton. Robert Middleton spent 22 years and 3 months with the club, 1903 to 1925. He won league titles in 1911 and in 1914, also a Charity Shield sandwiched in between that, so he won 3 trophies in 22 years. You could argue that's quite long to keep a manager that long to only have 3 titles, but they're quite good trophies to win as well. And Blackburn at the time, there was a lot of competition, and I think he did well for himself. I think he could have done a little bit more with the time he did get with Blackburn, eventually there to pull the plug on him, but 22 years and 3 months is extraordinary work. 4th, Brentford Football Club, Harry Curtis. Harry Curtis is another one I discussed in the Golden Eras episode. I'm basically telling you to read the Golden Eras episode again. He was a manager between 1926 and 1949, 22 years and 9 months to be precise. They had promotions from the 3rd Division South to the 1st Division between 1933 and 1935, which is absolutely insane. Brentford, however, were relegated into 2nd Division in 1947, and that led to Curtis resigning. Definitely Brentford's most successful manager. Unfortunately, came at a solid end, which is what happens when you manage for over 20 years in charge. 3rd, Charlton Athletic Football Club, Jimmy Seed. Another one that I talked about in the Golden Eras, 1933 to 1956, he was 23 years and 4 months. Now what Charlton did achieve was actually quite a lot. Division 3 champions 1935, Division 2 runners-up 1936, which is quite extraordinary that they are 1 year apart from each other, Football League runners-up in 1937, Football League War Cup co-winners in 1944, and FA Cup runners-up 1946, and FA Cup winners 1947. Absolutely amazing. Now we get to the top 2. 2nd place is Sheffield Wednesday, Arthur Dickinson. This is going to be another manager I'm going to refer back to the Golden Era. You would know that he won 2 consecutive 1st Division titles. He also won the same amount of FA Cups as well. So 4 trophies in 28 years and 9 months. That's absolutely extraordinary. But if you thought that was extraordinary, you've not heard what number 1 is on this list. 1st place, West Brom, Fred Everest. What can I say? When I found this out, when I was doing my research, I was shook to find out how long he was West Brom manager for. He started out in 1902. He was managing West Brom after World War II was done. He managed West Brom for 45 years and 10 months, nearly 46 years in charge. And there's no surprise why. Division 2 winners 1910-11, FA Cup runners-up 1912, and in 1935 as well. Division 1 winners 1919-1920, Division 1 runners-up 1924-1925, Division 2 runners-up 1930-1931, and FA Cup winners 1931. The only reason why I didn't pick him to be my golden era, and I actually remember looking at this, he didn't win too many trophies, and plus this amount of trophies in 45 years, just, I don't know, but he definitely was a very positive character with West Brom to stay for nearly 5 decades, which is absolutely amazing. He practically devoted his life for the club. He managed 17 more years than second place Arthur Dickinson. That just goes to show how amazing he was. So Fred, Everest and West Brom were first place. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like what you see, want to see more championship content, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. How excited for you to see football potentially return to championship in June the 20th? Is it too soon? Were championship clubs treated fairly? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm interested to hear your debate on it. Are you excited for the Premier League to return in June the 17th as well? Let me know in the comments down below. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care.